Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay.
Three,
So,
two.
so wait, I'm already recording, man.
Oh, I'm recording
I'm
too.
in it.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
hey everybody, we're back.
Yo ho ho ho. Hey
Oh.
everyone.
So, Andre, for the listeners, who are you?
I'm a UX designer at IBM right now in Austin, Texas. I
Nice.
guess I guess that's a good start.
And I'm the other host, Sammy. I'm also a user experience designer at IBM, but in Germany. And
Lame.
on the side, I work with two other guys on a small software project called Lito. It's for remote team collaboration communication software on the web.
Nice. Well,
Nice.
that's good for you that you have such stuff. Perfect. So in the last episode, we talked about the looping method, and we're speaking about ways how you could apply it to kind of find your focus and goals and the vision. Do you want to real quickly talk about it?
Yeah, so for me, when I tried out this method, it got clear to me that in the middle of this year, I was doing so much stuff, like with the podcast, with Lido, with working at IBM full time, that I needed to focus to get to goals that I set for myself. And so I found out with this method that I need to stop everything I do on the side for a while and completely focus on my main job, my full time employment at IBM. And so that's what I did until later this year, basically end of October, starting of November, when we released the last episode, the third episode of this podcast. And now we're back. I got some more time
Mm-hmm.
again that I can spend on side projects.
Perfect. Wait, and do you want to tell us what you focus on at IBM?
Yeah. So at IBM, I put all my efforts and my focus, besides working on my project there, I put my effort in finding out how to run design sprints, the design sprint method from Jake Knapp that was developed at Google Ventures, how to apply that in an enterprise environment like IBM.
That sounds pretty good. I mean, I'm glad that it helped out and it helped you find your vision and goal for some time. All right, so actually, we met in Germany a couple days ago, and we spoke about the following podcast. And Sammy came up with some ideas. What should we talk about? And so, do you want to just then wrap it and speak about it?
Yeah. So, yeah, what I talked about with a coworker of mine was recently she felt a bit stuck in her career and didn't know where she needs to develop her skills and from whom she can learn from. And so I had this conversation with her and I asked her basically what's her role models, because role models are something for me. I have a couple of them and I learn a lot from them. And so she said to me some names of like really, really famous designers, like
Mm-hmm.
really superstar designers. And so I told her that those are not role models. Those are uh, those are idols somehow. Those are people you could admire, you could look up to, you
Mm-hmm.
could become someday, maybe in the future, but they are too far away to immediately learn from them. And so this made me thinking. This made me thinking about all this role models, idol thing, and learning from other people and moving your career forward.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I came up with this concept of you basically can think of your environment of role models like your family. So think of you have a mom and a dad, and
Mm-hmm.
they're somehow complementary, but they are different. They have different opinions on different topics. And with
Mm-hmm.
what you do as a child, you look up to your parents. You watch them, you mimic them, you learn from them, you learn from their behavior, and this brings you forward in life.
Right.
So that's what I think role models could be. Role models are like your parents. You have
Mm-hmm.
two of them in the core, two people you constantly watch and observe and try to mimic their behavior, learn from their behavior to grow. And this doesn't mean there could be other role models. So think of other role models like your sister or your brother, your siblings, basically.
Right.
You learn from them too. You watch them, you learn from their behavior, or you can even teach them if they are your younger siblings, for example. So there could be other role models. There could be people that look up to you as a role model that would be more like your younger sibling. And so there could be there could be this group of role models that's behaving like your family, and you have basically like two main role models, and then you have some more which are kind of like your siblings, but you do not learn so much from them as they are still learning with you from your parents, as you do from your parents. So that's the role model environment.
Okay, got it.
Did you get that?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty cool metaphor. Yeah, like it's like if you have these people who are very close to you, you look up to them, you learn from them. So that's pretty easy metaphor to grasp. So what's the other one? Yeah, the other part of this whole story.
Yeah, so basically what you then can think of is your role models. They have role models too. And those role models could, for example, be some kind of an idol of yours. So if you think of some like if you think of your family, then your parents have two other parents, your grandparents, from which you could also learn, but you do not learn maybe that much like you do from your parents.
Right. Not like on daily
You spend
basis.
more time.
Yeah.
You spend more time with their parents usually. I know in some family that's different, but usually you spend more times with your parents than with your grandparents. And grandparents can really teach you on a high level. Like think of your granddad or your grandmother who told you a great anecdote of their life. They teach you on a high level about things.
Yeah.
So so this is what I think about in terms of an environment you have with role models and idols around you. And if you think in that kind of way, then you understand also that if you have one role model, you need somehow a complementary role model on the other side. And if this role model has different role models outside, which are maybe idols, and you can link that together, then you need to find those two complementary idols of your role model, or role model of your role model that's your idols. Because it's toxic if you have only these confirmation bias, these things, these opinions that confirm your already crafted worldview. So that's why it's helpful to have two different opinions on topics.
Well, Sammy, that sounds pretty good. Do you want to give us an example of what are your role models and how this all works out with the parents and grandparents and stuff like that?
Yeah. So in my case, one of my role models currently is Jonathan Courtney. He's the CEO of an agency called HA & Smart from Berlin. And the other one is Justin Jackson. He's a marketer from Canada, which I follow for a long time. He has a lot of great opinions on marketing and product development, basically.
Right.
So they're kind of similar, but they have different angles on stuff. The other one is a designer, a CEO of a design agency, and he's really at the moment hats down on design sprints. He's doubling down on that.
Gotcha.
And the other one is also kind of similar, but has this marketing angle to it. He's always on the core of the product, and he's the digital product guy.
Gotcha.
So those are the two kinds. So for Jonathan Courtney, one of my role models, he basically has other role models. Like, I would say a role model, if I watch what he's saying, what he's talking about, and what he communicates, I would say one of his role models is Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, and the other one could be Jason Fried. And those are his grandparents in my environment. And they are totally different. His grandparents they get along nicely because they're both hardworking and they both strive for the same thing, success in life, but they have totally different approaches.
Right.
So that's where it gets interesting. So Gary Vaynerchuk is all about if you work hard, if you hustle enough, you get what you want. So, and Jason Fried is more the guy like stay calm and focused, and you get what you want. It doesn't need to be crazy
Okay.
to get what you want. So those are two different personas that go nicely with each other and have a kind of yin and
Gotcha.
yang
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
relationship.
That sounds pretty good. So with this metaphor and this example, how you can find out your role models, and what is the whole relationship between like the kind of fathers and grandparents here. Besides finding out who are these people, like their names, do you apply some of these like you found out that like okay, this is your tree and this is how it works for you. Do you apply it like daily or like when you work or like when you I want to if you learn about something or if you want to follow something, do you apply something from this exercise?
It's more on the awareness side. It's
Mm-hmm.
not like it's more for me a model to have self-awareness of
Right.
where I'm learning from
Uh-huh.
and who I'm looking up to and who I'm watching and like
Okay.
that's more for me. So it's not like a method I can use on a daily basis.
Sure.
It's more like something I check throughout the year with myself. Who am I watching? Who am
Right.
I learning from?
Right.
And what's their opinion? And is there someone who has an opposite opinion
Gotcha.
where I can evaluate what's the best for me then?
Gotcha. So yeah, so basically there are like tons of designers, marketers, and stuff like that. So many people that you can follow, and with this kind of exercise, you found out who are they, right? And it made you
Yeah.
made it yourself for yourself clear. So when you follow them on Twitter, Instagram, or LinkedIn, whatever, at least you know which are the people that you should be following the most. That's kind of cool because that's my problem is that I have like, well, is it a problem? I don't know. I don't feel like it's my problem, but the first problem is to figure out that you have a problem, right? I know a lot of designers, but I don't really. I never really chose like this my role model. Like this is the person I want to be in future as a designer. So maybe I should
Hmm.
start thinking about it with this kind of metaphors and ways and actually make it clear for me, and try to
Hmm.
look for this. If even if I don't know them today, so I would find the people who are in these areas and see how they can help me out.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Now that I talked about that, can you think of like what's your role models currently? And
Oh
it
man.
doesn't need to be someone outside. Like that could be a close friend too.
Oh, damn. This is you're putting me on the spot right now, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
There is a lot, you know. Definitely. I mean, yeah, we spoke about family. I mean, I would say part of my family definitely. You know, like my brother, he's a race driver. Like it's super difficult. We know his car is not that great, but he's still pushing forward. He's still trying to be the best, even though he knows the car will not be the best. So that's amazing. You know, like see that patience and the drive and that you're determined. So I think that's amazing to have that in the family. Outside of family, I see a lot of people. So I work here in Austin, Texas, but I see a lot of people in Böblingen in Germany, like you, Sammy, and Matthias, for example. He's gonna kill me for like saying that name in this way, but like like Matze, for like
Yeah.
again like pushing forward and trying to make a difference from Germany. And on a big scale within IBM. So I always admire that. Um, and I don't know. Then they have people like at IBM, like for example Doug Powell, right? Who's basically the distinguished designer and VP of lot of big things at IBM, right? And
Mm-hmm.
and maybe in this way he's more like a grandfather. He's maybe like too far
Mm-hmm.
ahead in the curve. So like I just have to like connect the dots and make it all happen in between. But I'll try to figure it out for the next podcast, and I'll give you my
Yeah.
feedback
That
on this.
that's good. Yeah. I'm interested in that. And I
Yeah,
think the listeners too.
yeah,
Yeah. Great.
awesome, cool. That
Yeah,
that
this was just
yeah.
a small thing I wanted to talk about.
Small thing. Nah, it's a great thing. I don't know how you came up with that, but it's very interesting, and I think it's gonna this method is gonna make it easier for people to kind of clarify who are actually those role models, because there's so many people that you can choose from. So I appreciate that you shared with me, and now we can share with the others. So It would be cool if people write us, comments, something like, this is my father, this is my sibling in this case, this is their grandfathers and stuff like that, and just fill it with the names of
Yeah, it would be
people.
interesting to see these diagrams of
Yeah,
families, role model, idol
exactly. Yeah,
families.
yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
that would be
Cool.
interesting, and that's probably a good segue into the next topic I wanted to talk about.
Mm.
So you just said sharing this. So what we need from our listeners is that they share the podcast because that's how people discover podcasts because they get shared on social media or writing a letter or putting a post-it on the desk of your coworker and pointing out he should listen to that podcast.
But if you
So
share it, then it's gonna get bigger, and people might be worried about it. So that's why they don't want to share it. They want to keep it for themselves. So I mean, that's one way, but don't do that.
yeah,
you know.
like we need
Yeah.
to get up our downloads per
Yeah.
episode.
Yep.
So would be really helpful if you are currently listening to this. Please, if you could do us the favor, pull out your phone, go onto iTunes or to any of your podcast players you like, and leave us a review, a comment, or just on iTunes. Some people don't know that you can just leave 5 stars with one click, and you do not need to write a review for that.
Mm-hmm.
This helps really other people to discover the podcast too, and us to move up the ladder in the podcast
Right.
ranking on iTunes.
And even sharing it on Facebook, sharing it on Instagram, like that's super cool, or just with your friends. So anything like that helps, and we like to help the other people. And if you also have like some ideas about, like the thing which you spoke about, guys, it makes sense, but I have a better approach to it. Let us know, and then we can bring it on in the next podcast. So we like your feedback.
Yeah, really appreciate the feedback on that. That was just like basically a thought rant I had
Hmm.
recently. So
Awesome.
I'm still in the process of refining that thought.
Yeah.
And what we will promise is everyone who shares the podcast on social media and tags us. So my Instagram handle is, for example, or on all the social media platforms, my handle is SammySchuckert. So Sammy Schuckert. And if you tag Andre too there, I promise you we will read out your name on the next episode and say
Hmm.
thank you.
So we're gonna give you a big shout out.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds good. I'm happy to do that. So awesome. Yeah, let's wrap it up. Thank you, Sammy, for explaining me this metaphor and an exercise how to find out your role models. That was pretty good. So I hope the others will find it useful too.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Andre,
Cool.
for the listeners, where can they find you on the internet? I just mentioned my handle.
Oh, you mentioned a handle. Well, just look me up on Instagram. ONDREJHOMOLA, and I'm gonna be there. So, but I don't have notifications turned on, so I might get back to you later. Yeah.
All right. That sounds good. And one secret for all the people who stayed with us that long.
Ooh.
Next episode, we probably have something to share, some progress on Lido. We are
Ooh,
working on something really hard
nice.
for the last 4 to 5 weeks. And it will be
Finally.
ready soon. So
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Dude, I
looking
want to
forward
hear
to
about
that.
it so much. Sorry, I just
Yeah.
talked over you, but I'm so excited because like I remember the times when we lived together and you were sharing your ideas and I was giving you feedback. So I'm happy that this is moving again. So good stuff.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
All right,
Yeah.
all right, man. This was good. Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Thanks, Andre.
All right,
See ya.
bye,
Bye.
Sammy. Bye.